Hello, my name is Ray Salazar, and this is Morning Rio. If I see it, I review it. It's a 3 to 4 to 100 minute or so podcast of films that I review, from black and white to Technicolor, from 1900 to 2024. Here I am to talk about a film very briefly. It's called The New World. It's a film that is written and directed by Terrence Malick. If you don't know who Terrence Malick is, he is what, in hip hop music, a rapper's favorite rapper. Well, in the film world, it's a director's favorite director. He's been doing work since the 70s. All of his work is very interesting and unique. As time goes by in his career, Terrence Malick begins to be very visual in his work, where it's more visuals than dialogue and action. Sometimes when you shoot a field of sunflowers just being their natural selves in a windy sunset, and that's all you're seeing, it's as poetic as it can get from Terrence Malick. Now, I want to talk about The New World. What is The New World? It's a 2005 romantic drama film. And if you know Terrence Malick's work when it comes to romance, honestly, they're pretty similar. Not plots are different, right? But the goal is the same. It's the process, the depiction of a romance between two people, man and a woman, and we see periods of their life, whether they're together or not. And in this film, it's not like every other film, really. This is about the Jamestown settlement. You know how people in England, they went to Virginia and they settled here? That's the Jamestown. And this film is kind of crazy that Malick decided to take a chance on the story of Pocahontas. I mean, as we all know, Pocahontas, very famous figure in American history. The film is based on the romance between Pocahontas and John Smith. Let me give you a quick rundown. Written and directed by Terrence Malick, produced by Sarah Green, starring Colin Farrell, Christopher Plummer, Christian Bale, August Schellenberg, Wes Studi, and Kyoryanka Kilcher. What a name. Cinematography by the legendary Emmanuel Lubezki, edited by 4 editors, damn. Richard Chu, Hank Corwin, Sar Klein, and Mark Yoshikawa. Music by James Horner. Production companies: First Foot Films, Sarah Green Film, and Sunflower Productions. Distributed by New Line Cinema, whoop whoop, Entertainment Film Distributors. And it was released in Christmas Day of 2005. Incredible. It's not a long film, It's about 150 minutes, not a big thing to watch. But anyways, this film pretty much depicts the story of Pocahontas and John Smith and their romance together. As you know, John Smith came from another land and into the Virginian lands that were obviously not founded, but just inhabited by fucking Native Americans, man. And the Native Americans were gonna kill the people of Jamestown, and Pocahontas pretty much saved their asses, and saved their asses again when they were sort of settling nearby, and it was wintertime, and obviously they've never experienced a winter, in Indian land, or Native American land, I should say. And they were dying, and guess what? Pocahontas saved their asses again. But in the midst of all the saving and discovering between two different peoples, right? Because obviously we get to see how these Native Americans live, and it's like any other indigenous tribe, they're living among their own means. They hunt, they gather, they teach, they believe in things, they have morals, they have ethics. We see all that. And it's funny, we don't see none of that from the Jamestown settlers. They rarely have any type of religion. The only religion they got is, Christianity, I guess, or, just the belief in a Christian God, a doctrine, right? And as time goes by in this film, as we see the romance between these two people of John Smith and Pocahontas. It's not a, it's, one would think, oh man, they're gonna get it on and all that stuff. Oh, well, yeah, they do get it on. Not that we see it, right? And I'm glad that Terrence Malick decided to not put a scene such as that, because it's totally unnecessary. And a director such like Terrence Malick, he doesn't need to. There's no reason why. There's other shots that really speak for themselves, and they represent truly grateful to his work and to basically the point of the whole film, the goal, right? The process, the journey. And when I saw this film, I was looking at certain shots and the way the voiceover dialogue just, matches the shots. And I'm just like, man, like, you get to see the style already, right? The style where it's very atmospheric and there's a voiceover that's pretty much kind of, it's driving the story in a way where it's not so too self-explanatory, like when we hear either John Smith talk or Pocahontas talk, in voiceover fashion, we get to see a slice of life between how they interact with each other, how they feel about each other, how they feel about life, how they question it. We sort of get to hear their thoughts, but at the same time, as we hear these thoughts, they push the story further because there's tension. They express the tension. They express the fear of what's to come or what could come. Obviously, you can tell that these people are very much in love, and it's not necessarily an innocent love either, right? They're, as far as I know, grown adults, right? Especially back in that time. But we get to see a love that is sort of natural, right? Sort of not bound by anything, like not even religion can bound love. And that's kind of a cool way to pretty much challenge life and challenge the notion of freedom and liberty. And it's funny because this film technically takes place in America, right? Virginia. And obviously America's not even America then, right? It's just land that doesn't even belong to the Jamestown settlers in the first place, right? But we get to see this sense of like, when like you go to a different country or whatever, you notice how people live. And if you live there long enough, you pretty much kind of adapt to it or gain a certain knowledge as to what life is like somewhere else that's apart from your own. And when John Smith was, in Virginia, the couple of months that he was there, he realized how pretty cool Native Americans have it, because you can just tell that they care about life so much. They take it very seriously because they themselves feel that wherever they live gives them everything that they need and more. And it's only fair to pretty much not only celebrate it, but to worship it, to give back to it, to maintain it, to nurture it, help it grow and all that stuff. And here you got people like John Smith trying to, pretty much kind of pillage it, organize it in their own fashion. Like, it's kind of fucked up, man. You get to see like two sides of the coin, and obviously neither side is innocent or good, right? But at least the Native Americans, at least depicted in this film, right? You can tell that they're about each other and others, even outsiders. But you got two big fish in the pond. One's got to eat the other, right? And as the film goes by, you get to see the journey of Pocahontas, which is really cool because, well, it's cool in the sense that you get to see how it would look like, right, in Terrence Malick's vision. But you get to see the crap that really happened with the Native Americans, where some of them got kidnapped, some of them got captured. They sort of been made into slaves, I guess. They were taught, religion, not their own spiritual values. They had to pretty much dump their old ways, even the way they dressed, all these etiquettes, how to cook and clean and farm and all that stuff to serve your man or your husband, or just serving, period. And it's crazy. And Pocahontas, she gets to experience all this. And at the same time, she experienced, and Malick does this a lot too in his films, where like you get to see two kinds of romance affairs going on from the same people in a sense. And it's kind of weird that he does. It's not weird that he does it. It's very interesting that he does it because, much like in life, you know, when you're in love with somebody and it doesn't work out for whatever reason, time goes by and you're probably with somebody else, and then something sparks up, and sometimes, you know, your old flame is still there in a weird way. Sometimes you come back. I don't know, it's crazy, but that's how life works sometimes, you know? But anyways, that's what happens in this film. But you get to see a young, almost, well, not unrecognizable, but a young Christian Bale who plays a very important person in the time of America, early America, who was like a, you know, a big old exporter, a very rich man. Him and Pocahontas strike up a romance of their own, and you can tell that it's innocent between Pocahontas and John Rolfe, very, you know, important character in history, or very important person in history. You get to see what kind of life Rolfe gives Pocahontas, and I mean, she likes it, obviously. And it strikes upon the question as to, is this the life I want? Am I still hung up on John Smith? You know, is he ever going to come back? Why did he leave? All these things. You know, Pocahontas went through life. She went through some tough stuff. She got abandoned by her own tribe because she basically tried to save John Smith, man, from dying, from getting killed, and from like basically their whole town from getting destroyed, right? And it was only fair that she be exonerated from the tribe, and that sucks, but hey, man, I guess that's what you got to do, right? Anyways, I love this film. I think it's very important for filmmakers to watch this film, really, because it tells a story through a lot of visuals, a lot of choice of voiceovers, and not only that, we carefully see a journey of life from how, in a sort of weird way, how America was built. You know, things were built on love. Sometimes things were built on the lack of it. It's hard to see the humanity in each other sometimes. It's hard to see the understanding of it. Can we share land? Can we be friends? Can we really get the things that we want without hurting anybody else? Nope. It turns out that you can't, because either way, someone's going to get hurt. Someone's going to get, you know, thrown out of the whole situation. And it's either me or you, man. And honestly, that's the whole thing about the new world. It's the new world where you can make it whatever you want it to be because it's so new and fresh, ready for build, and only you want it. And I don't know if you want to share it with anybody else, but there's people like John Rolfe who wanted to share that with Pocahontas, and look at the life that they had with each other. Towards the ending of the film is pretty good. It's poetic, you know, it's very romantic, and it's funny because this film doesn't feel so romantic. It's very, like, I'm not gonna say jungle type of love, you know, where it's just nasty and raw and lustful. It's much more sophisticated than that. And it's funny to see two different cultures, two different lives who don't know each other's cultures or lives, right? Get to experience something that's very natural and very mutual at the same time. And it's crazy that we as humans can even do that. And look at what we built then. Like, when you see like how Jamestown was looking like, and then when you see how England is when they go back to England or wherever country they go back to, or rather when like you get to see the tribes and all that stuff, you get to see what was then, and you're like, whoa, like all this was just untouched land. How do we go from this to like right here, right now, where I'm talking onto a mic, to a recorder, you know, live on the internet and all that stuff in a building? Like, dude, crazy how that happened, right? My name is Ray Salazar. Check out my website, morningshawfilms.co. You get to see a bunch of fun stuff and then merch. and more Morning Reel podcasts. On the next Morning Reel, Point Break, the Catherine Bigelow version. Obviously, I don't know why they made a remake. Whoever greenlit that, man, like, you guys are idiots. Not sorry. And stay tuned for Sasquatch Sunset. Thank you.